Welcome to your September edition of the County Connections Show. I'm your host, Scott Vargo. I'm joined by all three of your county commissioners, Thomas Davidson, Karn Stiegelmeier, and Dan Gibbs. We are going to start off with very exciting news, I think, with regards to the final leg of construction for Highway 9 here from Breckenridge to Frisco. So who wants to start off with what's going on with that project?
Well, I'll start with just the safety concerns and the history of that area. It's known as Leslie's Curve, and there are many people in the county who have experiences of frightening accidents, near fatalities. So public safety is #1 here, and there are many other benefits to this.
Maybe I'll talk about the project itself, the ramp project, and Thomas can talk about the deal that you helped create. But this is all part of the Responsible Accelerated Maintenance Partnership Program that Colorado Department of Transportation put together to move what's called their asset management program to try to get projects off the ground quicker while requiring a local match. And we decided back in 2013 to do a 25% match. Really only a 20% match was required, but we decided to do 25 and team up with the town of Frisco on this, on a project that we originally thought was $17.2 million. Well, looking at planning and so forth, and prices went up by a lot. It went up to be about a $22.6 million project. So that required additional money that we needed to come up with. We put together about $3.9 million. Frisco, with land value and maintenance on their rec path component, was over $400,000. And but we were still a little over $1 million short when it ballooned to about $22.6 million. So as Karn mentioned, it's just been a major priority for us, not only for safety but recreational enhancements. And we were short over $1 million. And then we all worked together. And Thomas, how do you play a part in this?
Yeah, so it all was happening fairly fast, right? And CDOT said, oh, you need to come up with this additional commitment. And so that was just over $1 million. And we had conversations and agreed that that needed to be another partnership, right? And we identified Vail Resorts because of Breck ski area and the town of Breck as the two logical partners to split this with us. And thankfully, they didn't have any issues going on with each other, right?
At the time.
Thankfully, both Vail Resorts and the town of Breck have stepped up. And so this last $1.1 million that we've needed to come up with in order to keep the $22+ million project going and have this last section 4 lane by the end of 2017. It will happen because both Vail Resorts and the town of Breck each agreed to throw in $337,000, and Summit County will put in the other third of that, so that we've got the last of this funding, with a very clear understanding to CDOT that we are done with our contributions. So the good news is that it will happen fairly fast, right? This is all to get done in 16 and 17. So yeah, it will be much safer, and it completes basically the last leg of 4-laning 9, so that you've got the ski area connected to I-70 with 4 lanes.
Well, I think it's important to note that that $3.8 million that we had invested in the first place was not cash. It was land value and maintenance in the future. We will be maintaining the Vail Pass rec path instead of CDOT, and that will be then consistent with our whole rec path system. Right. So we were not putting in any cash until that last increase came out. We wouldn't have the ability to put in that kind of cash.
Right.
Karn, you want to talk briefly about what the new alignment is and some of the work that's going on with Continental Divide Land Trust in terms of swapping of land?
Another important part.
Yeah, besides safety and easier to maintain, shorter route, there are incredible enhancements in this project for wildlife and wetlands restoration, and recreationally, it's an amazing benefit. The rec path will be going along the lake shore.
Yeah.
And so the road will be going through the forest that is dead pines, and we will have this amazing asset for recreational pursuits and big improvements to the wetlands and wildlife habitat. So it's a big win for everybody.
Yeah, and again, we were a little over $1 million short. So if you see Breckenridge Town Council member out there, give them a hug. Right. If you see Pat Campbell, John Bueller, Kristen Williams, Kevin Burns, a lot of the senior kind of staff and policy people from Vail Resorts, they're really instrumental to making this happen on their end.
Right.
And we just did not have a little over $1 million to come up with, frankly. It just was not budgeted, and it was huge that they came up big for us and for the community.
And Town of Frisco, with the land values that they have in this, they're a significant partner. And you're right, a special thanks to Continental Divide Land Trust for working with us on the whole conversion of the conservation easement that was in there. So yeah, everybody played a part, and we're going to get it done.
And I almost think, not to dwell on this too long, but it's just going to be so amazing because I live in Breck. I'm in Frisco a lot for meetings and so forth, and we've all been impacted by the improvements that have been made with repaving. This is going to have no impact. We're going to literally be able to flip a switch because they're going to be working hard on the new realignment, and one day traffic will just go a different, same kind of direction, but different configuration, and it'll have really limited to no impact on congestion.
Yeah, much smaller impact than the previous 4-lane components. I mean, clearly they'll have to do some connections at the start and the end of it that will have some impacts, but my understanding is that the project will begin spring, summer of 16, so this coming year, and then will be a 2-year project that finishes up at the tail end of 17. And so great for the community that everything got pulled together and that we'll take advantage of it. A big concern was if it didn't happen now and those additional dollars weren't raised, that we were looking at decades before that project would rise back up in terms of funding and be able to be completed. So again, great news that we're able to get it done now or very soon.
Yes.
All right, good. Second piece with regards to ramp, Karn, you want to mention there's another project on Highway 9 that the county also participated in, contributed some funding to. You want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, that was a good segue, talking about how this won't be much impact. This Highway 9 North project, if you've been out there, is a big impact to the traffic this summer, but they have worked really well on it. It's on target. Even some pieces are ahead of schedule. So it's really exciting. If you've been down there, the scale of it is beyond what you anticipate, I think, because it is very wide. It's not going to 4 lanes, it's just 2 lanes with big shoulders, and those shoulders will be safe, or a lot safer for the bicyclists. And then the underpasses and overpasses are the big excitement on that stretch, and I got to see them just yesterday actually, and they're impressive. They're really large, and there has been a lot learned about how wildlife doesn't like a little tiny dark tunnel. They want a big welcoming tunnel. So these are large underpasses and large overpasses.
There'll be no large animal traps then within those tunnels.
And then there's fencing all along the way, like you've seen in Eagle County. So it directs the wildlife to the overpasses, and if they do somehow get over there, there are little escape hatches for them.
Sounds like me. I like large tunnels.
And they've completed about 5 miles. There'll be another 5 miles next summer. So this project will be ongoing.
And they're still working now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good. We've got a couple of other sort of infrastructure, amenity, facility projects that have wrapped up as well recently that we want to cover in this first segment. So the next one is the new Old Dillon Reservoir. Who wants to talk about that? Who wants to start to talk about that?
Well, let's see, to start with, the reason that we got to pursue this project in the first place is because way back in 2003, the voters of Summit County voted yes on the legacy program funding, which allowed us to pursue 3 projects. One was the recycling facility at the landfill. The second was the medical office building portion of the whole medical campus along with Centura. The third was funding for a local water storage project. And that is, for us, the expansion of the Old Dillon Reservoir, which way back when provided water to the town of Dillon when it was located at what is now the bottom of the Denver Water Reservoir. We, in partnership with towns of Dillon and Silverthorne, pursued an expansion of this reservoir. Used to hold 46 acre-foot of water, and now it holds just over 300, right? 303, I think, is what we've got the number at. So that's a significant expansion. And there's an authority that's formed, so the three different entities, Summit County, Town of Silverthorne, Town of Dillon, are all on this authority and operate their respective rights with regards to water. The really significant thing about this expansion in this reservoir is the fact that it provides us a lot of flexibility with regards to where we can put water and exchange water, real water. So we have the ability to put water into the Denver Water Dillon Reservoir, and then thereby sort of send it, at least on paper, up the different streams to provide for water for different projects, either up the Snake or up the Blue or up the 10 Mile. And then it also allows water to be dropped into the lower Blue below the Denver Water Dillon Reservoir Dam, which is important for Silverthorne. So let's see, we were out there just 2 weeks ago, right, to celebrate the completion of the project. And yeah, it's a good thing. We're already making use of it for a project over near Bill's Ranch, right?
Yep.
So beautiful setting up there too. It's a great, you know, rec path, that hiking path up there. And I can't remember the parking lot, but it's right before you get to the glory hole area, and we have stocked with the golden trout. And so anglers take advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Really nice area.
Yeah, we had many partners there for the ribbon cutting. It was impressive to see a number of Denver Water people there. They were instrumental in the Colorado River Cooperative Agreement. We had agreement that we could indeed use this water and they wouldn't oppose it, and we could use it for these exchanges, which makes it extremely valuable. And we are in the process of establishing the exchange so that a wetland over here in Bill's Ranch will not be dried up, but we'll be able to provide water for that wetland.
All right, so the next amenity, I'll call it, project is the shooting range, though. So up at the Summit County Resource Allocation Park, otherwise known as the landfill, there's also a shooting range, and that shooting range has undergone a lot of upgrades in the last several years, and they've just completed a much larger upgrade. Who wants to talk a little bit about the shooting range?
Well, going back a ways, it's always good to start where shooting used to occur, which is near the landfill area. Everywhere. And this is a huge problem in the state of Colorado and on national forest land, where people shoot in many places where it's obviously not safe, like what we had going on with people shooting right along the path there, and it would be, okay, a bicyclist is coming, so hold your fire. And so we've come a long way, and this really is a model for what needs to happen in many places around the state. One of the best parts of it is that it's not run by Summit County government, although it's on our land, but we have a wonderful group of volunteers, and they've formed their own nonprofit, the Summit Range Association, and they're the ones that are really the driving force behind all these improvements and the safety monitoring that they have up there. So people are getting educated about how to shoot safely, and many places we have huge problems with people not knowing how to shoot safely. So it's a great model.
Our other significant funding partners here are, we got a grant from Colorado Parks and Wildlife for $177,000. And then the local Friends group of the NRA put in another $30,000. And so, and then the Range Association put some money in as well. And then we've had, our staff working on this. Yeah, the thing that's great about it is it's clean, it's safe, and it's just a much better facility for all of the hunters. And that's an important part of our economy every fall, right? Hunting season. And so to have this is really important. And it is interesting just how many different county commissioners across Colorado have asked us lots of questions about how did you do this? And, well, how do you form a local group? It's kind of like, well, you have to have people like the people that live in Summit County that are willing to, volunteer and step up and organize. And boy, we just couldn't have done it without the Friends group, the Range Association. So,
and if you look at the statewide different shooting ranges, majority of them you have to pay for. And so the fact you can show up here, for free, it wasn't without the assistance, of course, of the state and the Friends of the NRA and a lot of folks locally paying an enormous amount of hours to make it happen. But I love the fact that it's still free, it's safe. Folks aren't bringing their TVs out there anymore. We're supplying targets, I believe, still. And there's no other place like that in the state that I'm aware of. You go to Cherry Creek, you have to pay a lot of money. And as Karn mentioned, there's growing conflicts of user groups out there. And the fact we have this great, safe location, folks can have a good time and sight their rifles in, getting ready for hunting season. Great.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say the Range Association will gladly accept donations from people that do come up to help them with keeping their association operating and continuing to keep the facility clean and safe, and to continue to look at other upgrades as time goes by. So, so certainly if you come and visit the shooting range, it is free. But again, if you're able and willing to provide some donations to that Summit Range Association, please do.
I think we really scored points with the Forest Service office too with this project, because the law allows people to go out onto federal land and shoot wherever they want to, right? And so that's a management issue for the Forest Service if there isn't an alternative like this. And so the ability for people to come for free, sight their guns in, sight their rifles in, and all of the rest of that is really important in terms of how the Forest Service is able to manage its forest here.
So some great projects here in Summit County, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, we'll talk about some other exciting news within Summit County government.